परमेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः नमामि गौडपादं च शङ्करं श्रीसुरेश्वरं स्वामिनं सच्चिदानन्दमिन्द्रं तं ज्ञानरूपिणे। It is a long Purvapaksha which we are dealing with. Bhamatikaras. Okay. Now we continue. By quoting Sureshwaracharya's Vakyam, Siddhanti told that there is nothing other than adhyasa that needs to be removed. Adhyasa athava avidya is the only thing that needs to be removed, and there is nothing other than that. So now next another objection which was raised by Purvapaksha, yadapyahuhu samskara vadinah. This adhyasa has a samskara, Purvapakshi told. Adhyasa has a samskara, and samskara also has to be removed separately other than adhyasa. Therefore, removal of adhyasa is not enough. You have to separately eliminate samskara also. This was what Purvapakshi was telling. Okay. As a part of it, he puts forth sorry for the disturbance. Puts forth another argument. Yadapyahuhu samskara vadinah pittopahate guda madhurya jnane satyapi tiktata buddhyanuvrittivat vidyaya avidya nashe satyapi tat samskaranuvrittihi avakalpete. He gave an example. See, even after jnanam is removed, still it won't go completely because its roots still remain. This was the Purvapakshi. He gives an example. Pittopahate indriyanam. A person who is affected by jaundice. Pitta is a liver. Okay. When the liver prakopa. When the liver is affected, you get generally jaundice. So, pittopahata indriyanam. When a person is a jaundiced person, his mainly eyes are affected and he starts seeing yellow. Not only his eyes see yellow, and even tongue also tastes differently. Therefore, pittodreka karita tiktata pratibhaso drishtante. Because of the pitta, jaundice, his tongue also starts tasting bitter. Even if you eat a sweet substance like guda, he says, pittodreka karitaha tiktata pratibhaso drishtante natu ajnana. Guda madhurya jnane satyapi. Though you know that jaggery is sweet. Jaggery is a sugar cane, a boiled sugar cane juice. When you boil a sugar cane juice for some time, it turns red, darkish red. So that red substance, sugar cane juice, when you boil it, it is called jaggery. It is an old traditional food. Excellent sweet it is. It is a healthy and very good also, compared to the sugar which is really equal to brown sugar. Our normal sugar is no different from brown sugar. Our jaggery alone is really great. Unfortunately, our modern scientists and government, they are trying to destroy jaggery and trying to bring sugar, which is equal to brown sugar. I think our modern civilization loves destruction only. Okay, anyway, we'll leave that. So when you eat jaggery, that is a candy, a special red candy made of sugar cane. On boiling a sugar cane for a long time, it gets solidified. So that solid substance as a result of boiling sugar cane juice is called jaggery. That jaggery is a sweet substance. The color is like, I think you have got a chocolate color. I think it's a charcoal color. Yeah, it's not exactly red, it's a charcoal color. Okay. So, tiktata buddhyanuvrittivat. So, you know that jaggery is sweet, yet when you are tasting it on account of your pitta means that jaundice, even the jaggery starts tasting bitter. Now, the bitterness is not a part of jaggery. Jaggery has no bitterness at all. It is totally sweet, completely sweet. No element, not even a small element of bitterness in it. It is totally sweet. Yet, a jaundiced person starts tasting bitter. Tiktata buddhi anuvrittivat. Now, when you eat sweet, the jaggery, the bitterness, little bit of bitterness continues it. One side you taste sweet, yet a small degree of bitterness continues in the tongue. I have to explain all this because the Bhamatikara used this example. What can I do? Bhamatikara used this illustration to explain how even after avidya is gone, still an element of samsara you experience. You see, this is what Vedanta has degenerated into. Avidya is gone, but an element of samsara, because an element of avidya continues. Why? Because it's like jaggery. When you eat jaggery, of course you taste sweet. It tastes sweet, yet a little bit of bitterness continues. Similarly, tiktata buddhyanuvrittivat avidyaya vidya vinashe satyapi. Though knowledge has arisen, it has removed ignorance. Tat samskara anuvrittihi. The old habit, the samskara of avidya continues. Therefore, even that has to be removed. No, the whole idea of the Purvapakshi is, don't go by the detailed arguments. Take the total vision of it, total essence of it. They say, other than adhyasa, there is something more. This is the biggest defect in them. The defect lies that other than adhyasa, avidya is something substantial. Even if it is removed, samskara continues. So now you note these things, leave about the technicalities, coming to the main point, main defect. Where is the main defect? Since they consider avidya as a material substance, and it is sticking to the mind, therefore, even after jnanam comes, that avidya goes away, still it leaves some samskara. They are unable to understand how can adhyasa have a samskara. Adhyasa is also from adhyasa drishti. From Brahma drishti, adhyasa doesn't exist at all. So, adhyasa is imposition. Imposition is imposition. Imposition doesn't leave anything. It is, for example, when you mistake the rope for the snake, once the light is brought, does the snake go away, or a little bit of either a skin or a little bit of blood particles, blood drops of blood, a little drops of blood remain on the rope? You mean a few drops of blood remain on the rope when the snake goes away? In the illustration where rope is mistaken for snake, after the light is brought, snake goes away. After snake goes away, you mean little bit of color or a blood of the snake remains on the rope? This is ridiculous. Because snake is totally illusory, is a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding doesn't leave any samskara on Brahman. Nothing remains there. You think of a samskara because adhyasa you consider as a real event in the mind, a real experience in the mind. But what Siddhanti says is, even the mind is adhyasa. All the mind, conscious mind, unconscious mind, samskara, everything is adhyasta. Adhyasta means it doesn't exist except you are thinking that it is there. It doesn't exist at all. This, they miss it. If you understand everything is adhyasa, how it is very clear. By shifting the standpoint, adhyasa doesn't exist. That's all. You come to the Brahma standpoint, adhyasa doesn't exist. One more mistake of them is, not only they consider adhyasa as a material, but it is really destroyed. Something really gets broken, something really removed. When there is an idea of really sticking avidya, avidya is really sticking, avidya is really removed. When you think it is really removed, then some samskara remains. Where is the question of samskara remaining? This samskara remaining itself implies adhyasa is something substantial, something real. When it is mithya, where is the question of remaining? This is missed. This main point is missed. See, tatra, idakki reply. Siddhante replies, tatra pittodekakaritas tiktata pratibhaso drishtante natu ajnanavashat. Siddhanta is replying, you see, you are giving an illustration of jaggery tasting bitter. See, jaggery tasting bitter is real jaggery, a real pitta. There is a jaundice in your mind, in your body. There is, because of the jaundice, your tongue has lost the capacity to taste other tastes. The tongue has developed bitterness due to some ill health. It is not due to ignorance. Okay? If suppose you did not know, if the experience of bitterness is due to ignorance, okay, but you are giving totally wrong example. You are giving a wrong example, wrong illustration. The bitterness of jaggery comes not due to jaggery. It is due to ill health, due to sickness of the body. There is some chemical deficiency, some defect in the body, some unnecessary chemical, because the jaundice destroys your taste and you get only bitterness because the tongue loses some capacity, some defect it develops. But it is not due to ajnana, not due to adhyasa. Okay? Therefore, you can't take the example of tongue tasting bitter, tasting the jaggery as bitter during jaundice. Therefore, natu ajnana vashat nahi gudastikta eveti brahmosti. See, this is very beautiful reply. No, he doesn't have a misunderstanding. The person doesn't have a misunderstanding that jaggery is bitter. It is not due to misunderstanding. Okay. It is due to some defect in the body. How can you take that as illustration here? And similarly, with this illustration, can you say, even after the snake goes, still you perceive the snake? Is perception of the snake due to your physical defect in your ill health? Is it due to your sickness in the body that you start seeing the snake even after the light is brought? The snake goes away, yet you see an element of snake. Is it due to some sickness in the body? So how can you take that example? It is a purely misunderstanding. Misunderstanding is corrected, it is gone. Napi gudamadurya jnana bhasena tiktata buddhi shakyate apanodayitum. Then, if you tell a jaundiced person who is tasting jaggery as bitter, if you tell him jaggery is sweet, I am giving you sweet, I am giving you sweet, and it is jaggery is sweet, and I am giving you sweet, come on, take it and eat. When he eats, even after he has been told by the person, you see, I have not mixed any bitterness in it. It is purely sweet. I have tasted and I am also giving you. Now he got this knowledge that he is eating a sweet jaggery. Now, does this knowledge remove his bitterness? See, note this point. Does this knowledge of his guru, that jaggery is sweet, does this knowledge his taste of bitterness? It can't remove, because the bitterness is not due to ignorance, not due to misunderstanding. It is due to your physiological defect. Okay. Anatomical change. Anatomical means disease. It is due to disease. Not anatomical, let us say pathological. Okay. Pathological means some kind of a disease. Pathology means disease. People think pathology means something else, because the technical scientific terms are used wrongly. Pathological means some kind of psychological, they think. Pathological means, pathos means disease, that's all. Napi gudamadhurya jnana bhasena, by teaching him that jaggery is sweet, his taste of bitterness doesn't go, because the taste of bitterness is not due to ignorance. If it were due to ignorance, the knowledge would remove. Ato tiktata buddhihi shakyate apanodayitum ato vishamaha upanyasaha. Your illustration is not apt illustration. It is totally dissimilar illustration. The illustration is not similar to the problem here. Okay. Etena dvichandradivat dvichandradi buddhyanuvruttirapi vyakhyata veditavya. Similarly, dvichandra. Dvichandra means seeing two chandras, seeing the two moons. When a person has a cataract, a person who is suffering from cataract looks at the moon, he sees two moons. Now, even after he has been told that no, the moon is only one, still his perception of the second moon doesn't go away, because his perception is not due to ignorance. If it were due to ignorance, it would go away on the rise of knowledge. Okay? It is not due to his misunderstanding. It is due to his defect in the eyes. It is due to the defect in the eyes. Similarly, here, samsara is purely due to adhyasa, not due to any other reason. Not due to samskara. Samsara is not due to samskara. Samskara is sannyas, because you think there is samsara. There is no samsara for anybody on the earth. Nobody has any samsara, whether jnani, ajnani. That there is an samsara, this thought itself is the cause of samsara. Okay? That I am subject to samsara, this very thought is bringing samsara. Otherwise, there is no samsara at all. You think that there is a samsara, therefore you happen to experience, that's all. All your experience of samsara is due to your wrongly thinking that I am samsari, that I am an individual. I am an individual, I am a jiva, I am subject, I am experiencing the world, and I am subject to pain and pleasure and birth and death and coming and going. All this is a simple thought. A thought not true to your reality. How beautiful it is. It is simply a thought. An assumption. Mind is entertaining a thought that I am samsari. And this thought happens to be against the reality of life. What is the reality? That you are a Satchidanandam, you are purely consciousness existence. That existence, consciousness is, Sakshi is free from Pramatrutvam. In short, Pramatrutvam is samsara, Sakshi is free from Pramatrutvam. You are only wrongly thinking Sakshi as a Pramatra, that's all. Taking Sakshi as a Pramata is a purely misunderstanding. There is no Pramatrutvam at all. There is only Sakshi, continuously Sakshi, even now, before, now and later. All the time it is a Sakshi. Therefore, ato vishama upanyasaha, therefore nacha vidya phalam tadabhyasa, abhyasat janyate iti loke drishtam. This is beautiful, dear. Bah. I think Swamiji like of thinking nobody. Just now somebody came. He says, as he read Swamiji's books, bah, what a clarity. Bah. He says, as you read Satchidananda Swamiji's books, everything becomes very, very clear. Very clear. If you want a clarity of Vedanta, read only Swamiji's books. See how beautiful it is. This manana is rare to find. Idi eno vibhuti. Shankara, I think, is an apara Shankara without Shankara-ness. Swamiji is another Shankara only. If he were not Shankara, I think this clarity would not come. See, no jnana rises. Jnanam as rises. See, this is a very important point. Siddhanta is continuing. As the jnanam rises, you get the jnana phalam. Jnana phalam means what? Ajnanam goes away, you come to know the reality. As you know, do you come to know when you know it? Or after knowing, you repeat the knowledge, then you come to know the reality? Knowledge and knowing the reality. In fact, this language itself is very difficult. In Sanskrit, it is easy to explain, but in English, it is difficult to translate. Vidya phalam, how do you translate? Vidya phalam is knowing. Knowing and knowledge of knowing, and the result of knowing, the fruit of knowing. If you want to literal translation, take it as a fruit of knowing. What is the result of knowing or fruit of knowing? Knowing only, coming to know the fact. Now, just a minute. Okay. In the worldly life, you see, when you come to know a pencil, when you just look at the pencil, when you understand the pencil, that it is a pencil, you get the knowledge of pencil. That means you understand that it is a pencil. By knowing the pencil, what you say that? The phalam means the result of pencil. What is the result of knowing the pencil? That you have a pencil with you. Once you know that it is a pencil, you get that you have a pencil with you. This result of knowledge, does the result of knowledge come immediately after knowing the pencil? As you see the pencil, I have a pencil, oh yes, I have a pencil. As you see the pencil, instantly you come to know that you have a pencil, or after knowing that this is pencil, you have to repeat it few times, then after 10 times or 20 times or 50 times, then you come to say that yes, I have a pencil in my hand. Okay? That means the result of knowledge. Does the result of knowledge come instantly as you know the pencil, or the result of knowledge will come after the knowledge rises, you repeat the knowledge a few times, maybe 10, 20 or 30, I don't know how many times he wants. By repetition of the knowledge, you come to recognize the real fact. Knowledge, see their explanation is, knowledge doesn't give you the understanding of it. Knowledge on repeating it will give rise to an understanding of it. Knowledge and understanding, are they two? Are they two separate? And is understanding another thing born of repeating the knowledge? This is what Bhamatikara says. Even now there are some people to believe it. They say knowledge alone doesn't give you moksha. You have to repeat the knowledge, then what is moksha? You are already liberated. That's a fact. Fact that you are already, moksha is you. Moksha is synonymous to Atma. Atma doesn't get moksha. Atma is Mukta Purusha. The very nature of Atma is moksha. Moksha and Atma are synonyms. Atma by its very nature is ever liberated. It was neither bound nor it gets liberated. Okay, Atma by its very nature is liberated. Once you know the Atma, do you find liberation? Or you know the Atma, but liberation has not yet come. You have to repeat the knowledge for a long time, then the liberation comes. You see, knowledge and liberation, are there two steps? After knowing that you are the Chaitanya Atma, Sakshi Atma, Brahmatma, after knowing that you are Brahman, still samsara remains. Knowledge is result. Knowledge and the result of knowledge are not two. Because knowledge shows you an existing fact, but you are already Brahman. Everybody is. So my very nature is pure consciousness, untouched by the world and anything else. If that is my nature, as I know that Atma, I discover that I am that Atma. I come to know that I am that Atma. That's all. Therefore, the knowledge instantly produces the result. Why instantly produces result? Knowledge is the result only. Knowledge and the result are not two things. Very knowledge is result. But Purapakshi or Bhamatikara says, Nacha vidyaphalam tadabhyasat janyate iti loke drishtam. Nobody has ever seen that knowledge doesn't give you the result of it. After knowledge, you have to repeat it for some time. Then as a result of repetition, then the result of knowledge comes. Knowledge is not like a karma. Okay? When you do karma instantly doesn't produce the result. Punyam, it doesn't, sometimes it produces, sometimes it takes some gap. After you do karma, there is a gap between karma and its result. But jnanam, there is no jnanam and jnana phalam, there is no time gap. Why? Because jnanam is teaching you already an existing fact. It is not helping you to reach the fact. It is not, jnanam is not helping you to come to the fact. It is only helping you to understand that the fact is already existing. Already existing fact, it comes to reveal. Once you reveal, you are already in that fact. You are already in that fact. Therefore, the very knowing is finding it. Knowing and finding are not two. The very knowing is finding. Because it is already you. What is already you, as you know, you find it. There is no gap between knowing and finding it. Knowing and reaching it. Finding it. I don't know how to express in English. Is a difficult language. I don't know why we are speaking in English, which is neither yours nor mine. But yet we have to speak third man's language. This is a very unfortunate. So jnana phalam. I have to speak in a language which is neither mine nor I am good at it. I am not very good at English, yet I have to speak. Britisher says that whether you know it well or not, you have to speak in our language. And our Indians are also like that. We love to speak more often. In fact, we want to completely migrate to English language. They want to make all Indian Shastras into English language, and that's all. So that Sanskrit will be destroyed and all ancient Shastras will be migrated into English, like the Latin people. The Latin, I am told, is no more read now. Whatever was written in old Latin, whatever the old literature is existing in Latin, all that is translated into modern languages like Italian, English and French and all. That's all. Now Latin is forgotten. If you retain the Latin, a new rachana, new writings will happen. People discuss, read, speak and write. Continuously you use the language. New literature is written. Then the Latin will be live. Otherwise it's dead. But whereas in Sanskrit, new rachanas are done continuously. That means you are thinking in Sanskrit. When you are thinking in Sanskrit, new ideas are produced, discussed, thought. You think, contemplate through all your new ideas, deeper ideas, different ideas are expressed through Sanskrit. Even now books are written. Even now, Swamiji recently wrote, there are many writers, poets, new books are written. Even now I make my notes in Sanskrit. Sometimes I write and sometimes I make my notes in Sanskrit. Because when you express in Sanskrit, it is much better, much different. But anyway, even to Indians, I have to speak in English. People write letter to me, or messages they send. Swamiji, please speak in English. We understand better. Please explain to us in English. Please take a class in English, have a class in English. But nobody says, Swamiji, please speak in Sanskrit. We understand better. Why? Why no Hindu says? Why no Indian says that Swamiji, speak in English, we understand better? In fact, if there is a class in Sanskrit, oh Swamiji, we don't want that. We don't want that. See, as I start speaking Sanskrit, people say we don't want. We want in English. And our brahmachari here also says, Swamiji, don't teach in any other language except English. Everybody loves English and they want in English. Please speak in English alone. Rama also again and again suggests, I don't know, somehow I hesitate. I hate to speak in English and I have to speak. Even this I have to say in English only. I think the British fellow will be terribly angry. You speak in English and say that I hate English, that too in English only. But what can I do? We are forced to speak in English. This is a special hatred, I think. Nowhere you find it. You find the hatred for English through English alone. Very strange. If I speak English, our own Indians don't want. Sannyasis don't want. Do you know that? Sannyasis don't want to listen Vedanta through Sanskrit. Amazing, amazing thing. Why? Because how much alienated from the Vedantic language. Upanishads are revealed through Sanskrit. And the very Rishi's revelation we want to disown. What a terrible people we are. We Hindus are. We want to disown our own Sanskrit. Where the Sanskrit, the language in which the Rishis have directly received. But people have time to learn many languages. They spend a lot of time, work hard and learn other languages. But this, even the less than it, even the with a 50% of effort, you can learn Sanskrit. With a, not even 50, I feel less than 50. The amount of effort, the amount of effort you put to learn any other language, any foreign language, out of that, even if you use only 50% of it, you can learn Sanskrit. It is so easy, and communication is much easier. Bah, how beautiful. Recently I went to one sannyasa, one Shishya Svikara, one Peethadipati, Shankara Peethadipati, Sringeri's branch. His Uttaradhikari was selected and sannyasa was given. During the occasion, some Sanskrit scholars, Vedantic scholars were also invited. They had a small discussion. I found how smoothly, spontaneously somebody raises an objection in Sanskrit. Some people came from Sringeri, some people came from elsewhere. So as they put Purvapaksha, another person replies in Sanskrit. It was so beautiful. In between they started translating it into Kannada. The Kannada translated had missed the point and saying something else and something else. But the original Sanskrit was beautiful. They spoke directly in Sanskrit. It was so interesting. Because it is easy to express through Sanskrit. Vivekananda also told the same thing. That if somebody asked, why are you speaking Vedanta in English? He said, I am forced to speak, otherwise I would have been happier to speak in Sanskrit. That would be easy for me to express through Sanskrit. But unfortunately, that Sanskrit is not allowed because others don't understand, then I have to speak in English. That is his unfortunate. Anyway, so Vidya Phalam. The Phalam of Vidya is not born out of Vidyayaha Abhyasa. So, Vidya's Abhyasa, by repeating the knowledge, the result of, it is not that the result of knowledge arises not with the knowledge, but after repeating the knowledge, the result of knowledge arises. See this, I repeat it, see, I say the same thing again. It is not that the result of knowledge does not arise with the knowledge, but arises only after repeating the knowledge which has arisen. Is there such a thing? No. As the knowledge rises, you find already the result is there. The very knowledge is the result. Knowledge and result, they are not two. The very knowledge is the result. Okay. Therefore, even after Jnanam, Purvapaksha says, samskara remains. You have to remove the samskara also. What is this all? Lot of imagination. The very nature of ajnana is misunderstood. The nature of knowledge is misunderstood. So you using lot of speculative, wrong ideas put in the name of Vedanta. Okay, even next objection. Yatvahu shajjadi sakshatkarartam abhyaso drushtayiti. तत्र साक्षात्कार एव विद्या न परा तस्याश्च नाभ्यास इति विषमं निदर्शनम्. तत् यत्र पुनर् अविद्यानिवृत्तिर्दृश्यते संस्कारतः तत्र बाधितानुवृत्तिर्न कार्यक्षमा. Okay, he says Shadjadi Samskara, Shadjadi Sakshatkara. See, in Sangeeta, in music, in Sangeeta what happens? You have to learn those notes. You call them notes, the swaras. Swara is called note, I think, in English. We are more familiar with Sanskrit words because the same Sanskrit words we use in our Indian languages. So I think a note probably. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. These are all notes. These, how do you learn these notes? Say, when a person says sa in first hearing, do you understand it? Do you understand it? No. In first hearing, you don't understand. 2 times, 3 times, you keep on repeating again and again and again, and also contrast with others. Sa, sa. So there is a difference. Sa, sa, there is a difference. So this subtle difference, by again and again and again and again watching, by repeating, you come to recognize the subtle difference between sa and sa. There is a difference, subtle difference. He says Shadjadi. Shadja means the very notes, swara. Shadjadi sakshatkarartam abhyaso drushta iti. See, in sakshatkara means the realizing, the recognizing, the recognition of the swara bheda, the difference between, subtle difference between notes, recognizing accurately the notes. For that we need abhyasa. One hearing is not enough. If I tell you sa, sa, that's all, you heard it. Do you understand it? Do you recognize now? No. You have to repeat it. After a number of time repetition, then you recognize it. So here, just as it happens in case of musical notes, just as in case of musical notes, repetition is necessary, inevitable. Similarly, in Vedanta Jnanam also, I am Brahman. I understood I am Brahman. Still, Ajnanam doesn't go away. I have to repeat it. I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. The knowledge you have to repeat it. Then the knowledge gets solidified, consolidated. Okay? No, reinforced. First, see what he says is, then the knowledge arises. It arises, but it is a still shaky knowledge. It has to be reinforced. Drudham Jnanam, we call in Sanskrit. The Jnanam, Jatam Jnanam, the Jnanam which has arisen is Adrudham. It is a shaky. Shaky means slippery. Okay? Adrudham Jnanam. The Jnanam which has arisen is Adrudham. It is a shaky or let us say slippery. Then on repeating that knowledge, it gets reinforced. Then it remains firm knowledge. Knowledge remaining firm, all this is not right. He says, Tatra sakshatkara eva vidya na apara tasyascha nabhyasa iti vishamam nidarshanam. See, in the illustration you have given the note, swara, sarigama. In the sarigama notes, you have to recognize the subtle swara, the difference. There, you don't have 2 levels of knowledge. Siddhanti is replying and showing your knowledge of swara, knowledge of notes, musical notes, and Vedantic knowledge. That illustration doesn't suit there. You have brought the wrong illustration. Wrong illustration shows your misunderstanding of the nature of Jnanam. How he has misunderstood, you dismiss the illustration. You disprove the illustration. How the illustration is not apt to this Vedanta Jnanam, Atma Jnanam. If you show this, he has understood wrongly, that's why he is bringing a wrong example. Now take the musical notes. In the musical notes, he is told, first you learn the musical note, you know the musical note, and later you, I don't know how to say that, sakshatkara, how do you, knowing and sakshatkara, how to translate? You know and you sakshatkara, how to say that? You know and come to, I don't know what to say that. First you know the sa, re, sa different. You listen to it, you know it, and what you know has to be, it has to be the mind subtle, your mind has to recognize it. In your mind you have to recognize it. Okay. You call it a catching or vision or visualizing, I don't know what you call it. Visualization is imagination. Probably visualizing. Visualizing is a sakshatkara. Visualizing means mind has to visualize. Sa, you hear, but again when you are asked to produce it, you can't produce it. Or when somebody says again, you can't recognize it. You should be able to accurately recognize in your mind. So it's a clear visualization. Therefore, so I think sakshatkara is a visualization, because my English is poor, probably visualizing. Let us take it visualizing. So tatra sakshatkara eva avidya. In case of the musical notes, simply informative knowledge is not enough. The vision has to come. The vision means that visualization, the vision of note has to arise it. And that note, the vision is not a result of repetition. In fact, vision alone is knowledge. Siddhanti answers, you get a vision of that note. When your mind comes to recognize that vision, that alone is knowledge. There are no two knowledges. It's not that you got first knowledge and then by repetition you got the vision of it. Getting the vision itself is knowledge of notes. Therefore, Vishamam tasyascha nabhyase abhyasaha iti vishamam. After you cognize the note, you are not going to repeat it. Okay, after cognition you are not going to repeat it. Okay, cognition itself is knowledge. After knowledge, no repetition. Therefore, don't give that illustration of musical notes to this Atmajnana, because it is wrong. Yatra punaravidya nivrittir drishyate samskaratah tatra badita nivrittir na karyakshama. Yatra punaha avidya nivrittir drishyate. Where the avidya is removed, drishyate samskaratah tatra badita nivrittir na karyakshama. Even after jnanam, if it continues, then it's not understood at all. That's not jnanam at all. After jnanam, the samskara doesn't continue. If samskara continues, then it is not jnanam at all. After jnanam, if samskara continues, it is not real discovery. It is not jnanam at all. See the beautiful point Swamiji says. Because samskara cannot continue. Even the samskaras go away. If the samskara continues, then you have not yet got jnanam. And he says, samskara, I got jnanam, and samskara continues. If your samskara continues, then it is not jnanam. Tatra badhitanuvrittir na karyakshama. It is not badhitanuvritti. Then what? Vidya samskarotya smritya tasya niyamena badhat. Because even the samskara gets falsified. See, he is telling adhyasa, avidya gets falsified at first stage. When you repeat it, its samskara of avidya gets falsified at a second stage. Okay, first avidya falsification, second is samskara falsification. Two-tier jnanam. First jnanam falsifies avidya. There is a Purvapakshi says. First jnanam which rises, which it falsifies avidya. Then the avidya samskara continues. And then when you repeat this vidya, that samskara also gets falsified is a second stage. That means he is putting avidya falsification at the first stage, then it's a samskara falsification at a second stage. The real is avidya, samskara all put together falsified by one knowledge. There are no two-tier knowledge, two-stage knowledge. That is prasankhyanavada. It is a Purapaksha. Shankaracharya in Upadesha Sahasri, and also in Sutra Bhashya and Brihadaranyaka elsewhere, he rejects prasankhyanavada. Even Sureshwaracharya also rejects prasankhyanavada. Prasankhyanavada means jnanam has two stages. At one stage it removes ignorance. Second stage it removes the samskara of ignorance. What is that second stage of knowledge? Two stages of knowledge is ajnana is one and its samskara is another. Then in jnanam removes ajnanam, and the jnana's abhyasa, when you repeat it, when you dwell on it, when you cogitate, when you dwell on it, how to say that? It is something like a gargling in your mouth. Okay? When you keep on gargling in your mouth, dwell on it in your mind, then what happens? This old knowledge gives rise to another knowledge. At a later stage, then that removes the samskara. This kind of two-stage avidya and two-stage vidya is totally Purapaksha. It is wrong. It is Shankaracharya dismisses, and it is also against Anubhava. Once avidya is removed, no samskara remains. Okay? Badi niyamena tasyaha niyamena badhat ityanavadyam. The jnanam as it, there are no two stages of jnanam. All that jnanam, that alone is jnanam, which removes not only ajnanam and also its samskara. Okay? Jnanam and its samskara. Ajnanam and its samskara are not two things. They all put together is ajnanam. Ajnanam and its samskara is also ajnanam. Don't put as a two. There is only one ajnanam. That's all avidya adhyasa. And jnanam just falsifies it. Once jnanam falsifies it, nothing remains. Again, samskara do not remain, which need to be tackled by another effort, by a second stage of effort. You don't need a second stage of effort because there is no samskara for adhyasa. Adhyasa is adhyasa. Everything is within adhyasa. Okay? Adhyasam puraskritya. Adhyasa is the everything. And once you correct adhyasa, nothing remains. There is only jnanam. Iti vidya samskarottha smritya tasya niyamena badhatiti. Therefore, the vidya itself tackles the samskara. You don't need another step. These are all complicated things. You just listen whatever you understand. Those who do not understand, don't worry. These are all technical way of telling. I am summarizing the idea. All avidya is adhyasa. Jnanam instantly removes adhyasa and nothing remains. This is the ultimate summary. Other technical details, those who do not understand, don't worry. Okay? Since it is there in the text, I have to complete the text. Therefore, I am talking these technical details. In Brihadaranyaka Bhashya, in Upadesha Sahasri, Tattvamasi Prakarana, 18th chapter, there Shankaracharya touches these subtle details. Because the Purapakshis say two steps. Shall I tell you, if you don't mind it? You forgive me, don't me? One Ramakrishna Math Sannyasi also published a book, just for your information, not to criticize them. Swami Satprakashananda wrote a book, what is that name? Methods of Knowledge. In that also he says the same thing. Jnanam removes ajnanam and a samskara remains. And this jnanam which has arisen has to be repeated. When you keep on repeating it, the knowledge when repeated, it gets a new energy and it removes the samskara. Therefore, he puts ajnanam has two levels. Jnanam also tackles in two levels. This is a Purapaksha. You read Upadesha Sahasri, you read Brihadaranyaka Bhashya, Sutra Bhashya, and even Sureshwaracharya's writings. It is a Purapaksha, it is not Siddhanta. Okay. And he presents it as a Siddhanta. I tried to tell one of their sannyasis, see, this is gone wrong. You tell the people to correct it. Again, next edition I have seen, they just retained it. Oh, probably. Then I thought they believe it that alone is right. But anyway, it is up to them. I am nobody to criticize them. But that's not again. But that's a wrong. It is against Anubhava. It is against Shankaras. Okay. Vidya samskarotta smritya tasya niyamena badhat ityanavadyam yathahur bhagavat padah. Badhitam apitu बाधितमपितु मिथ्या ज्ञानम विचंद्र ज्ञानवत् संस्कारवशात् कंचित कालम अनुवर्तते एवा. See, after badhitanuvrtti is different. Here Purvapakshi is telling avidya is badhita, but its samskara is real. Okay, samskara has to be separately falsified. Avidya is falsified, but samskara remains real. Samskara has to be falsified by another separate step. But what Shankaracharya says is, when avidya is falsified, it is samskara also falsified. It doesn't remain real. Samskara also falsified. Okay? This is the difference between Bhamatikara and Bhashakaras. Badhitam apicha mithya jnanam samskara vashad anuvartate eva. This is very interesting thing. Shankaracharyas in the fourth chapter of Brahma Sutra, yelli badhitam apitu mithya jnanam kanchit kalam anuvartate eva. There the samskara anuvritti, the continuation of samskara that was talked about from the Vyavaharika Drishti. It's not from Jnani's Anubhava. Jnani's Anubhava Drishti, no samskara, nothing, there is only Brahman. It is Vyavaharika Drishti, Namarupa Drishti, the continuation of samskara is talked about, but even that is badhitam. But what Bhamatikara says is, avidya and samskara are two. When avidya is falsified, samskara continues to be real. It has to be separately falsified. After avidya is falsified, samskara continues. And samskara has to be falsified by another attempt of repeating the vidya, the jnanam which has arisen. You have to repeat it, then falsify the samskara, which remained unfalsified before on the falsification of ignorance. Okay? This is the very important difference. This is a gross mistake. Bhashakara says, once avidya is falsified, samskara doesn't remain unfalsified. Samskara also gets falsified. The first thing is, there are no two stages of avidya. No, there is no two stages of vidya. Okay? This is the ultimate idea. Once knowledge takes place, all avidya is falsified, nothing remains unfalsified. That's the basic idea. Okay. Badhitam apitu mithya jnanam dvichandra jnanavat samskara vashat kanchit kalam anuvartate eva. Okay. Nacha viparita pratyayo vidyavatah utpadyate nirvishayatvat. Now, jnani, once jnanam takes place, there is no misunderstanding again. No mithya jnanam. Once jnanam arises, mithya jnanam is jnana. For them, even after the jnanam is tackled, due to samskara, again it comes. Ayya Rama. Kvachit vidyayaha purvotpanna viparita pratyaya janita samskarebhyo viparita pratyayava bhasaha smrtayo jayamana viparita pratyaya bhrantim akasmat kurvanti yatha vignata digvibhagasya akasmat digviparyaya brahmaha samyak jnanavatopi chet purvavad viparita pratyaya upapadyate samyak jnanepi avisrambat shastrartha vijnanavado pravrutti rasamanjasa syat sarvam cha pramanam apramanam sampadyeta. See, then once the knowledge arises, now the samskaras, unfalsified samskaras won't remain. Bhamati says, samskaras remain, they have to be separately falsified. Samskaras have to be separately falsified because on falsification of ignorance, samskaras won't get falsified. They have to be separately falsified. But here Bhashyakara says, once avidya falsified, samskara also gets falsified. There is no separate samskara. Okay. Iti. Therefore, sarvam. Otherwise, the people will start doubting the very jnanam, because If Jnanam has arisen and has not removed samsara, again samsara comes along with Jnanam also. What is the use of Jnanam? People will lose interest in Jnanam, and the Jnanam is not Jnanam. All the problems arise. Therefore, this is Shankara's special teaching, and I think we will continue in this next class. Time is up already. Adhyasa Rupa Phalam. Ika last conclusion remains it. Now we have been discussing this Purapaksha for how many pages? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 pages Purapaksha. We had been discussing it. Now is only a conclusion portion. 1, I think 1 or 1.5 pages. Yeah, 1.5 pages is there. It's a conclusion. Now maybe in 1 or 2 classes we will conclude in it. Once we conclude, okay, we can go to the next topic. I think 1 or 2 classes we have to do that. Okay, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat.